Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being on Facebook Live. We are going to be talking about Major League Power Concentration, Part 1 today. And there are three abilities that you have to have in order to have Major League Power Concentration. So we're going to talk about those three things today. And I'm pretty excited today because I have a co-host with me. And this particular person happens to be part of my core team here at Advanced Coaching and Leadership Center. And he has many hats. And one of his major hats is he is a life planner, which is a very important position also when it comes to helping a person get what you want. So my co-host, let me introduce him to you. His name is Camilo. Some of you have met him.
Thank you very much, Sil, for the introduction. Yes, I'm very excited about this topic because we have been really taking it to pieces to understand each one. So I'm really honored to be here today and being able to share my points of view on the topic. So thank you very much, Sil, for inviting me.
You're so welcome. I loved your response when I reached out to you and said, hey, would you like to do the show with me today? And you said, oh, I would love to do the show. And I'm like, oh, I love that enthusiasm. So let's talk about the first three things that people want in their life and how that equates to what they don't want. So in order to have Major League Power Concentration, the number one thing most people want, I would say all people, even if they are stressed and they don't want stress, is having that ability to be here in the moment, having the ability to focus, having that ability to concentrate. And the word really that I'm describing is being present, which is being able to be here in this moment and having all your attention in this moment. The next thing that a person would want to have in order to have that power concentration is being able to operate on your own power, not somebody else's power, but your own power, because you can feel quite dysfunctional if you're not able to work on your own power. And then the third component is being able to be honest in life, because the more honest that you are, and honesty in the different areas. And when I think about that, I'm thinking about when you start to try to accomplish what you want, if you're not getting what you want, there's just some dishonesty there, right? Because you don't have the full truth of it, or you would have the understanding so that you would be able to really focus and concentrate on the things that you want versus the things you don't want. So the three things we're going to cover today and the three abilities that we're going to look at is presence and operating on your own power and having honesty, more honesty in your life. So Camilo, is there anything you want to add at this point?
Thank you, Sil. Yes, I just wanted to remember that if you are watching this live, please write down in the comments live, and if you are watching in replay, just write replay. That will help us to get more attention from this kind of Facebook Live. So that's a great point. So thank you, Sil.
Thank you. So the first ability that we're going to talk about is presence, and how much presence, the amount of presence that you have. And the amount of presence that you have will also determine the way you can measure it and see is how big do you feel? Do you feel big today? Do you feel little today? You know, what happens is when you have a lot of presence, you generally feel that you can handle whatever happens throughout the day, right? Even if it's not so good news, or even if it's a difficult conversation, if you're feeling pretty big and there and able to focus and concentrate, it's going to be a lot easier to stay on top of things and win throughout the day. Another thing that you will feel when you have a lot of presence will be you'll feel at peace with yourself. You won't feel introspective or self-conscious. Oh my goodness. I can remember having to get up in front of an audience and speak and feeling very introspective or very self-conscious about the way I look, the way I sound. What am I going to say? Is it going to be correct grammar? You know, all those things that we can find to worry about when we're not present and introspective, right? Very uncomfortable place to be. And so when you're really big and have a lot of presence and able to be in this moment and focus and concentrated, you're able to perform and able to do whatever you want to do that day, need to do, regardless of what's happening around you. So that would be the first ability. And just being able to have that ability that regardless of what's happening, regardless of the phone call maybe that you just got that you didn't expect to get, where maybe it was unpleasant or something now you've got to go and handle, you know, sometimes that can throw us off. And sometimes that can cause us to not be as focused as we were when we started out our day. And so you want to be able to control those things. And with a lot of presence, you can control those things. So those are some of the biggest things that I see around that amount of presence. And I want to check in with Camilo and see if you had another point you wanted to bring up on this.
Yeah, thank you, Sil. So yes, like the amount of presence and how big you are really affects to concentration. So yeah, I think that's a great first ability that you need to develop.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because it needs to be developed. It's no different than going to the gym, you know, and working on great triceps or great, you know, to have a great body and great biceps or whatever. It is something that's developed. So you don't just typically wake up with it. No, you're here and you have a lot of a presence. You know, it's something that can be practiced and learned and tweaked and get better at. That's the great news. So the second ability is having a lot of life force particles. And what I mean by life force particles, it's the amount of energy you have or versus the amount of energy you don't have. So we want your life force particles to be available, because the reason why this is so important is because life force particles are pieces of you. And if you have your attention on things, that a lot of things, it really affects your ability to be focused. So let me give you a comparison. So if you think about a racing car that can go 200 miles an hour, I mean, that is a lot of power, right? And the amount of power that that engine can produce, right, is a lot of power. So if you think about that racing car that can go that fast, but it loses 2 cylinders off the motor, well, that's going to slow it down, right? It's not going to be able to go 200 miles an hour. And so the car's going to drop in speed dramatically. And that's the same thing that happens in life. If you lose some of your life force particles as you live life, just based on incidences or things that didn't go the way you wanted it to go, you didn't get to create the things you wanted to create, well, it's no different than that racing car that could go 200 miles an hour, but lost some cylinders along the way. And now its power is cut. It's not able to perform at the level it should be able to perform at. And the same thing happens to us if we lose some of our life force particles. So the second ability is to have as many available life force particles as you can that's available and positive, so that you'll be more alive and you can accomplish and get the things that you want. So Camilo, tell us about the third ability.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sil. So the third ability is your accuracy of perceptions. And it's also an ability, so it's something that you can develop. And one thing about perception is that the higher your perception, the better you are able to experience and observe the world around you. So that is very important, because if you want to really improve in an area, the more knowledge that you have in that area, it's like the higher the ability you have to perceive in that area. So the main thing that you need to start developing as you move forward, like improving in an area, it's being able to handle the words connected to that area, like increase your vocabulary in that area, being able to think in concepts and really apply those concepts in your life. But if, for example, you want to improve in relationships, so you need to get to know the words about relationships, and it's knowing all the topic, maybe getting a book and be sure that you start reading, okay, what are relationships, what they mean, like all the different concepts connected to relationships, and it will really make you more perceptive about what is there in that area. And once you have that, and you have the words, and you really can conceptualize them and really can think in the area, it's like you can start like fulfilling the full cycle of studying, because it's like, okay, I can read in the area, I can perceive in the area, so you can study, learn, and applying that in that specific area. But then you can get to the next step, which is start communicating. So because it's like the words you will be able to use in order for others to understand the same concept. It's like, okay, I know it, I understand it, I have perception, I can feel it, and I can really start sharing it with others, and they can understand me. So the more you know in an area, it's like the better your perceptions are, and that would really help you focus and really put your concentration in place. Because if you don't know a word, then it's like, okay, it's what happens sometimes when you are reading something and you don't understand a word. It's like, okay, what this word means, and then you lose your focus, you get distracted. So it's very important, as you read something, as you start studying something, that you really go and search for the words connected to that something, that area that you really want to improve at. So yeah, that's what I see in this third ability. And as all these abilities, not something that you just wake up and you have it. No, it's something that you really need to develop. Okay, how do you develop perception? By learning more in the area, learning the words, the meanings, expanding your vocabulary. So thank you, Sil.
Oh, you're so welcome. And it's interesting that you bring that up, because on that third ability, the accuracy of your perception, the first thing you do once you get present is, you're perceiving. That's just a natural part of life. When you're present, you are perceiving. So, yeah, great point there. So thank you so much, everyone, for dialing in. And we do have a worksheet for you today. So if you want the worksheet with the main points on it, type in the comment section concentration, and we'll be sure to get that over to you. Be sure to stay tuned for next week, and we'll be focusing on the next abilities that's part of Major League Power Concentration.